Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Amanda and we're talking about sci-fi. If you haven't been here for the rest of the series or the rest of the videos in this series, I have gone over the fantasy, horror, romance, and now sci-fi books on my Storygraph TBR that I want to read for 2024. So we're going to go through the first 24 or 30 books like I did last time to just check out what kind of sci-fi books I have available on my TBR, the oldest ones on my TBR. Some of these I probably won't remember. The romance was awful. Like, there were so many that I did not remember. So there's a couple of things that I want from you guys. Number one, is there any book that you see on this list that you want me to make a priority more than the others? Is there anything I need to add to the list? Now, I'm not going over the whole 240 books that are on this list, so you don't know everything that's on my list, but give me the recommendations. If they're not on there already, I will add them on there. And then finally, let me know if there's anything on here that you're like, that is not worth your time. So that's what I want to hear from you. Let's get into the books. Okay, I feel like I just need to read The Corsair's Captive and get it off of here. It has been on so many, it's on so many lists. It's also just the straight first book on my TBR. Like, it is the oldest book on my TBR. So I probably just need to read it. But anyway, it is a sci-fi, apparently, romance also. Okay, then we have Born by Jeff Vandermeer. I have read Jeff Vandermeer before, and I love a dystopian, so I'm excited about that one. There's Perdition Again, which is a romance, fantasy, and sci-fi. Okay. The Accidental Hero, it's a middle grade sci-fi. I love middle grade, so I am definitely excited about that one as well. There's Another Praying for Rain. That's the one that in the last video where I was like, wait, sci-fi romance? I want to read that, so... Gideon the Ninth is already on my TBR for January. Among the Hidden, this is Shadow Children. I did not know this was sci-fi. Okay, that kind of makes me more excited to read it. Girl One. That sounds interesting, just the title of it. Orion Lost, another middle grade sci-fi. Winter's Orbit, another romance sci-fi. I asked for recommendations of romantic sci-fi in the last book, in the last video. So apparently I already had a few more on here. And this one came from Rachel at RK Stumbling Bear. I heard her talking about it first. I've seen people talking about it since then, but I put it in my list because of her. The Infinity Courts, sci-fi young adult. The Atlantis Gene. I put this on my list because I found this book at a thrift store. I have since unhauled it because I'm not going to read it physically anyway. Even if I decide to read it, I'm going to get it on audio. So it's still on my list only because I bought it from a store. So I guess I want to read it. It says a 1 million copy bestseller, so maybe it's good. I don't know. The Space Between Worlds, this literary apothecary Kate and Literary Science Alliance Angela have both recommended this book. So then we have War Girls. I love the cover of this. How cool is her arm looking? That's awesome. Young adult sci-fi. This is how you lose the time war. The first person I heard talk about this is Andy at Read by Andy, and it's a sci-fi. So I don't know anything else about it. Clara and the Sun is dystopian. It's also literary, which is kind of my least favorite genre, but that's okay. Ready Player 2. I loved Ready Player 1, and then I heard bad things about Ready Player 2, and it made me skeptical to start it or leery about starting it, so I've kind of been putting it off. But I liked number 1, so I want to read it. Unwind by Neil Shusterman. I just finished reading the Scythe trilogy, and I gave that trilogy 5 stars. So I am definitely going to pick up Neil Shusterman. The fact that I think this is where you can have your children unwound, I think I'm remembering that correctly. The Moon Dwellers sci-fi, young adult. Okay, I don't know where that came from or why I put it. The Ones We're Meant to Find. I feel like people were talking about this for a while. It's dystopian, which you'll see a theme. My favorite sci-fi subgenre is dystopian, so I'm here for all of that. The Knife of Never Letting Go, Chaos Walking, another young adult sci-fi. This came from Elliot Brooks. Apparently she talked about it, and I was like, yes, I will add that. Gone by Michael Grant. I think this might be another one that I got because it was at the bookstore and it says this is the way the world ends. So dystopian, I'm here for it. Sorrowland by River Solomon. I heard quite a few people talking about this, and it got mixed reviews, but it's on here. Sci-Fi, we'll see. And finally, the last one is Station 11. I had a physical copy of this, which also I unhauled, but it's dystopian and it's sci-fi, and I've heard really good things about it. I was supposed to buddy read this last year, and it just kind of fell through at the last minute, and we were like, we don't really have time to do this. So I still want to read this book for sure, and it is on my list. So let me know any of these that you think need to be bumped up, anything that needs to be added to my list, or something that you're like, I read that and it was really bad. You can probably just take it off, and we'll see how it goes. So thank you if you have joined me over the last 4 videos in this series. I am so excited to get into these books. Now that I have a better idea of the oldest books on my TBR in all of my favorite genres, I'm even more excited to get going with them. And even some of them I have already incorporated into some of my January TBR games that I've been playing. And so I am just ready for what is going to be happening next in all of my reads. Thank you so much for joining me. If you made it and you don't have any recommendations or anything to do with that, pick an emoji that looks sci-fi-ish and put it down in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.